coming to you from Jezero crater on the surface of Mars. This is Mr. C.
Well, 8th grade, happy Monday to you. I have some special guests today. So I know many of you are probably Toy Story fans, like my grandkids are. And I actually am a Toy Story fan. Really like it. So I've got Bullseye today and Woody. Woody graciously has allowed me to use Bullseye. So I promised him, I'm not going to take him on a long ride and wear him out or anything. So, and my granddaughter Alice, who's 6, and grandson Xander, who's 8, who own Woody, and Bullseye gave me permission as well to use them. So here's how I'm going to use Bullseye today. Thanks, Woody, for hanging in there and letting me use your horse. So anyway, I just want to demonstrate something. You know how my little figure of speech? You can lead a horse to water, but you can't make them drink. But I'll have a drink. I'm thirsty. Bullseye's not interested. So anyway, hey, don't tell my grandkids I tossed Bullseye like that. All right, get you. Okay, so anyway, what's your point, Mr. C? Well, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink, and you can lead a 7th or 8th grader to their study guides for the semester exam, but you can't make them triple R. No. That's a part of their made in God's image, their will, and they have to employ their will, activate their will to get going on this. So anyway, your homework this week is triple R, your study guides, and, and on Friday you've got a quiz. No more tests, just a quiz on Friday, that's it. So we'll review all next week. So I'm doing a thorough review. Now I'm teaching you some new things, and they'll be on the quiz on Friday. So today I'm going to talk to you about a couple of new things. So, and anyway, I better get going here. So on your study guide, this study guide. Now, on yours it just says 8th grade. This is the general packet study guide. I have filled out your tests from the 3rd quarter, and I've run those off. They're in a packet. But you're not getting that until we go through this totally. So you'll want to make some little notes if I didn't highlight something on here. I highlighted most things. So most things I've highlighted. So I want to really quick go through 2 or 3 pages in this study guide, and 2 or 3 tomorrow and 2 or 3 Wednesday. So anyway, let's get rolling. Okay. So scientific method, you've got a problem or question, and the problem, this would be an interesting problem. What were the safety harnesses like in Formula One racing, say 100 years ago, and what are they like now? Actually, at first, they didn't even wear seatbelts. Oh, no, they didn't. They didn't wear seatbelts. So if they were in a crash, in some cases because of the law of inertia, when an object is moving in a straight line at a certain speed and a force is applied to it, it wants to keep going at that same speed in the same direction. So you can have a car run into another car and stop real fast after it rolls a bunch of times, or who knows. So, but the rider, if they're not harnessed in, they're going to fly out and keep going. That's not good. You're right. And I'm sure they lost some early Formula One drivers that way. So, because of no safety harness. And the same thing with cars. I told you about my friend Bob at Moody Bible Institute, who sailed right through the windshield because he didn't have his seatbelt on. And he was going real fast and stopped. His car stopped real fast in that accident. So anyway, law of inertia, or the first law of motion. So now, you read an article about safety harnesses. They now, like in Formula One cars, have a whole bunch of points where you're held in to your car, your seat, your car seat. The same in fighter planes, except you've even got more points to pin you in. So if you're thrown around in your jet airplane, you're staying right there. You're hanging right there, no matter what happens. Well, that's a good thing, because you don't want, you're going 600 miles an hour, and you don't want to slow down real suddenly and keep going, So that would not be good, and go the speed of sound or close to it. So, but you've got to stop, and that's a bad thing. So that's a bad thing. You've got to stop. So anyway, and that has led to a lot of airplane pilots and skydivers, for that matter, who came to a sudden stop, and it didn't work out good for their organs and stuff. So anyway, I'm not going to go into that. That would not be pretty. Okay, so the second step of the scientific method, notice I have put steps in parentheses. The second step is a hypothesis or a scientific guess. So, and we've been doing this. We've been gathering data on roller coasters. Which one's the fastest? Which one's the highest? Today you're going to ride Goliath at Magic Mountain. Is that right? Six Flags, is that right? I think so. Yeah, Six Flags Magic Mountain in Southern California. Okay, so anyway, Goliath today. So Goliath is 235 feet high, and you get going 85 miles an hour on Goliath. I think you're writing this down in your journal. Speaking of journals, a week from Wednesday, I'm collecting your journals. And I'm especially going to look at the science activity questions in the back of the room that you put in your journal. I'm going to look to see how you did on those. Now, if you know you haven't done very good or didn't finish it, you're going to want to finish those up over the next 10 days. Mr. Phillip will probably give you some time at the end of the period to work on that, or study your study guides. Not chat with each other, but study your study guides. So, again, your homework is to review your study guides. So our scientific method problem is, which roller coaster is the highest and fastest? Now, it's probably changed now, so down toward the end, I'm going to have you ride a couple of coasters that are at a Japanese theme park. So, and they're supposed to be the latest and greatest. We shall see. So, you've got the step of the scientific method where you keep all the differences the same. Now, I could almost promise you I'm going to ask you scientific method step number 3. I'm going to say it something like this. What's the step of the scientific method where you keep all your differences the same? And you'll go, oh, that's controlling the variables. Because I'll probably write controlling the, or actually I'll probably write the variables. And you'll write in controlling. Maybe, I hope. And then number 4, step 4, one variable not controlled. In the case of the roller coasters, different roller coasters. In the case of the harnesses, different styles of shoulder harnesses. So, and then in the case of the 2 different weighted objects that Galileo dropped from the Tower of Pisa, that would have been the independent variable or one variable not controlled. Then you gather the data. Data step is the diary. So, and then you get an answer if you've got good data. So I would write up above data, I would write lots of data. So I might ask a question like this. I'm not saying I will, but could. I could write, what kind of data do you need to have to get a really strong conclusion? And you'll put lots of it. Not just one or two tests, but hundreds of tests. So, anyways, there is the scientific method. Next, how we doing? Good. This is a metric system study guide, so I'm going to ask you all the information that I've starred. You see with the Roman numerals that I've starred, 1 through 4. You've got to know all this. The King Henry, King Kilo 1000, Henry Hecto 100, Di Decaten by base 1, drinking Deci 0.1, chocolate, Centi chocolate 0.01, milk, milli, the smallest amount that I'm having you memorize, 0.001. So now get the decimals right. Get the decimals right as far as their amount. Now on the next page, that's where you'll find all that. See that on this page? Got it all there. King Kilo 1000, Henry Hecto 100, and so on. So it's right there on the next page. Okay, standard unit. What is it? A measurement word everyone knows and uses. Like inch, mile, meter, gram, any standard unit. So you've got to know the metric system standard units. Length, about a yard. It's a meter. And then weight, 1 gram, about 1/4 of a white sheet. And then liter, glug, 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 about a quart is a liter. I should bring objects by to show you. Okay. And temperature, Celsius, 100 C, as they say down south, 100 C. Okay, would be boiling point, and 0 C is freezing point. You just wanted to say 100. I did. Yeah, I did want to say that. And then Roman numeral number 4. Reasons the metric system is superior to other measurement systems, like our very own English system. Base 10, I guarantee I'm going to ask that. Guaranteed. And I'm going to ask you what the freezing point is. 0 C, right? 100 C for boiling. Okay. And then this. So study that. Just the King Henry. That's it. Just the King Henry. Now for fun, you ought to look at it and go, hey, which one is 1 millionth? Which one is 1 millionth? Look at it just for fun. That's micro. So 1 millionth of a gram would be a microgram. 1 millionth. Look at atto, an attoliter or an attometer or an attogram. Look at that. If I said to you, hey, I'm going to give you 1 attogram of my Andes mint, don't get excited. Are you even going to be able to taste it? Nope, it's too small an amount. It would just be like, almost like atoms of it. You couldn't taste it. Hey, on the very top, look at tera. You don't have to know that, but look at it. Tera. Tera is 1 trillion. So if you had, a teraliter of Gatorade, that's 1 trillion liters. You couldn't store it all, even if you had a 5,000 square foot home. Well, you might be able to. You probably could. So anyway, those are the others that you don't need to know. Just King Henry. Just the King Henry. That's all that you need to know. Okay. So here is a periodic table. Look it over. Now I've highlighted what you need to know in the periodic table. There's 15 elements. I've boiled it down to 15. How many questions will there be on the periodic table? I don't know. Quite a few. So I've circled the elements that you need to know. The two on the sun, hydrogen and helium. Hydrogen causes fusion and produces helium, heat, and light. That is a beautiful question. I'm probably going to ask that. Over here on the left side, this particular family, number 1 over here, starting with sodium, lithium actually, Li. Those are alkali metals. They're very reactive. Did you see I had that? I wrote that in. Alkali metals, very reactive. Study this whole thing. What are the two gases on Earth? Nitrogen, about 78%. O2, oxygen, about 19%. Some other gases like neon. And then I've got metals like iron and copper. Make sure you know the symbols. Au, gold. I've got a liquid, Hg, mercury. That's silver liquid, right? Can I do that? I'll get close. I can show it to you. Right there. See that? Right. Is it there? Hg, mercury, yep. And then radioactive ones that spontaneously fly apart. They're unstable. Radium that Marie Curie worked with. I put that. Ra, radium, atomic number 88. And then uranium, atomic number 92, both very unstable. So anyway, study your periodic table to the max. So study all of that I highlighted. Okay, flip the page. Boy, we're doing great, aren't we? So what's next? This study guide right here that you use for a test, I have starred what you need to know. I've started all that chemistry information up in the first part. Yes, that's why I wrote yes. So all the different elements, so study that. The standard model of physics, a chart showing the fundamental particles, like quarks and leptons. The 4 fundamental forces of matter. Oh, I'm probably going to ask that. Gravity, the electromagnetic force, like magnets, opposite electrical charges attract, a strong force that holds protons together in the nucleus, and the weak force. The Higgs field that conveys mass to objects. And I'm looking. There it is. The Higgs boson particle gives mass to particles right over here. So you highlight that. The Higgs boson particle. And then just the creation idea, the standard model particles and the 4 forces are precise in their mathematical values, so they couldn't have formed by chance. They had to be designed by God. Way to go, Jesus. The gray whale information, yeah, I want you to look at that as a divine design, the gray whale information. Their baleen, I showed you their baleen that hangs down and acts like a filter, right? So I want you to know that. And then Fomin plus B, and it's in here. It's back toward the back. It's in here. Fomin plus B, and all the data on that. So study it. And I'll show you that in a little bit. And then on this side, yes and yes. You've got to know that. And then I do want you to know that Dr. Gary Habermas historically proved the resurrection had to occur, and all historians who are worth their salt, that means they're any good, even if they are God believers or not, they could be atheists, doesn't matter. They believe Jesus rose, that he's not in the tomb anymore and he came out. They believe it because of all the very close data, eyewitness data, to people who talked to him and people who were at the tomb A lot of them were his disciples, but there were, I think, over 500 people that were, if they weren't eyewitnesses, they had heard reports from eyewitnesses. So you get just a few, 1 or 2 years away from the actual resurrection with your eyewitness data. That, for historians, that proves it. So, and then we know in 1 Corinthians 15 and other places in Scripture, we know that Jesus rose from the dead because of what those verses say. And then your Bible verses that you need to know. Are you going to write all of these? No. Are you going to write some of them? Well, I hope so. I hope you know them. I'm not going to have you do Genesis 1:1. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. Everyone knows that. Genesis 1:3, though. Then God said, let there be light. The Nick idea. God created things out of nothing instantly by commanding them. N-I-C. Nothing, instantly commanding. Commanding them. And let's see, Genesis 1:26, that we're created in God's image. So study it, know it. And then down below, I have ways that you're different from animals and like God. So study those. How many would you ask us? 4 to 6, probably. 4 to 6. We're not animals like evolutionists tell us. I'm not an animal, dude or dudette, because I was made in God's image. And I'm very different from the animals. So, know a bunch of those. Now, there's one I didn't star. 139, 13, and 14. You've got to know that. For you formed my inward parts. You knitted me together in my mother's womb. I praise you, for I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Made. Did I say made? Wonderful are your works, and my soul knows it very well. Psalm 139, 13, and 14. So, and I'm writing right at the top, right above it, I'm putting, God gave me my genes. I just started, and God gave me my genes. Yes, He did. He designed us. You know what I love about that? You know, He's happy with the way He designed us, so that makes me happy. Look, if He's happy, I'm happy. So God gave me my genes, right above Psalm 139, 13, and 14. God gave me my genes. Isn't that awesome? To be designed by God. Wow. That's just so cool. And not an accident like evolutionists. Oh, you're just an accident. You have no purpose. Wrong-o, evolution breath. So, absolutely not. The Lord of the universe designed me and you. And He gave us our DNA. He made sure that we would get the genes made out of the DNA, the exact order of the nucleotides that He wanted us to have. So to make our proteins just the way He wanted them to be. So thank you, Lord, for making me, even without any hair. No worries. So in my adult life. Okay, Gardner's theory of smarts. Bunch of things on this. All of that, your GoTappy package, 3 Ps, purpose, physical appearance, and I always get stuck on personality. Why is that? Personality. God designed us. Further designing. Our superpower, everything about us. Who God designed us to be. Okay? So, study that. Boy, we've made a lot of progress today. Now I'm going to have you ride Goliath over at Magic Mountain. So, and you're going to check out the ride and see if it was any good. Some of you have been on Goliath. So, and then remember, your homework tonight is to study your study guide, that what we've gone over, to go over it, start reviewing it. So, and Let's see, there was one other thing I wanted to tell you. Oh, yeah. The science activities and microscope drawings in the back. Got to do them. Got to be in your journal. So get after it. Mr. Phillips is going to give you some time once in a while to get after it. Now, if you know you're not finished, then you need to go, I am not finished. Mr. Phillips is probably going to ask you in just a minute, how many of you are not finished? Now, if you've done half a job, you're not finished. If you just wrote stuff down really quick and didn't really care much about it, you didn't give a rip about it, and you didn't do a very good job, well, I'm not going to give you a great grade then. So, and the microscopes, you need to have a little basic drawing of each one. And please don't touch the focusing knobs, please. So, just the coolest things to look at. Red blood cells, an amoeba, one-celled animal that just flows ahead. How cool is that, the way God designed it? Or the paramecium that its DNA was making it just split, and that's the way it reproduces. Like your cells fission, reproduce that way. So anyway, essays, those microscope activities, and the science activities, make sure you do a nice job on those. You're handing your journal in 1 week from Wednesday on the 19th. So anyhow, I'm going to turn you over to Mr. Phillip. You're going to go out to Magic Mountain and ride Goliath for a minute, and then he'll take over from all of that. I will see you on Tuesday. Triple R.